Hi everyone, how are you doing and welcome back. So recently Battlefield 1's been free with Twitch Gaming and Amazon Prime. It's also been on sale as well, so I've seen quite a few new players picking it up and jumping in, which is really good. So I thought I'd just create this quick video just to help you guys out and kind of bring you up to speed with everything that's Battlefield. So just quickly, I'm going to cover the settings that I feel would be really beneficial to you as a new player. I can do a full video on all my settings if you like, just let me know in the comments down below. But I'm just going to keep this real short and sort of give you the ones that I feel will help you best on the battlefield. So starting off, kill log, I have it set to nearby, just because it gives you that more sort of awareness to your surroundings. So you don't really need to know if somebody on the other side of the map's been killed, or if your teammate on the other side of the map's been killed, just because you can't really do too much about it. But if somebody gets killed that's nearby you, then you'd want to know. So by having it set to nearby, you can sort of give a quick glance in the top right and see that your teammate may have been killed by this enemy, or your teammate's killed this enemy, and just that way then you kind of got a quick reaction to what's going on around you, and you just kind of know straight away that, like, okay, something's happening around me, I need to be on alert, kind of where the enemies are coming from or what's happening. Another setting that I find really helpful is changing your crosshair. So the default is white, but by changing it to sort of a colour that you don't really see in the Battlefield game, so I've got it set to pink, but you can have it set to sort of like this kind of lime green colour here, or a bright yellow, or just a colour that's really sort of distinguishable behind sort of the background of the game. I know sometimes with it being like a white crosshair, you can sort of lose it if you look in towards the sun, or sort of towards certain foliage, or like towards certain buildings and stuff like that. The crosshair can sometimes become lost, especially in sort of a Twitch shooter like this, where sort of kills are in like milliseconds. It can make the difference if you sort of do lose that crosshair for like a split second. So that's why I have it set to pink. I also have the reticle as well set to pink, just because the same reason for the crosshair really. That's why as well. And also hit indicators, the default is white, but once again I just have it set to sort of a distinguishable colour, just so that way then I'm like, okay, I've hit the enemy. And then headshot colour is also the same, but you can change that if you want to be more specific. But I know it's a slightly thicker crosshair, the headshot colour, so I kind of distinguish from that. But I just want to know if I've just hit the enemy, then I can kind of be like, okay, I've hit the enemy. Kill colours I've set to red, just because most of the time red means danger or death and stuff like that, so that's why I got it set to red. And then critical kill, I'll just have it set to red as well, just because once again it's based around the whole kill thing. And just another bonus one, the minimap, I have it set to, where's the setting here? Here we go. So the default is 100, sorry, the default minimap size. I have it set to 120, just makes it a bit bigger in the sort of bottom left hand corner of the game, and it's just easy to sort of give it a quick glance. And I'll be able to be like, okay, I can see sort of the enemies have been spotted here, or my teammates are here, the enemies might be coming here. Just makes it a bit easier, instead of having to maybe squint a bit more, and you can just give it a quick glance. So that's the settings. Let's move on to the next section and get you up to speed. Within Battlefield 1, there are 4 main classes, each one with different role on the battlefield, and affects how you play it. So the medic is sort of your revive and heal class of the game. Your main purpose is to revive your teammates and keep them stocked up on health. If they get damaged, a little symbol like this appears above their head, and that means that you can chuck them a med pack or a med crate and get them all healed up. When reviving your teammates, make sure to use smoke. It really helps sort of obstructing the enemy's view. I also did a video on this for Battlefield 5, but it's still relevant for Battlefield 1. So I'll leave it in the description and also in the comments down below. Next up is the support class. A bit like the medic, one of the main roles is to provide ammo for your team, whether that be ammo packs or ammo crates. Once again, it keeps your team in the fight, keeps them stocked up on ammo and being able to damage enemies, both sort of refilling main weapons, primary weapons, and also their gadgets as well. You can also repair friendly vehicles, so with the repair tool you can repair tanks, cars, and every vehicle really with it. Once again, keeps the team in the fight and being able to sort of engage enemy armor. Next up, you can also do suppressing fire with it, whether it be through the LMGs or gadgets, and once again, this keeps the enemy pinned down and enables your team to move up and take them out. Up next is the assault class. Main role is to damage, destroy, and harass enemy vehicles. So whether you do that through, the sort of plethora of gadgets you get as the class, your main role is to sort of destroy, damage, and harass the enemy vehicles. Just make them keep out the fight, sort of not engaging your teammates or your friendly vehicles. Just keep them on you and just do that any means possible. And finally is the recon. So main sort of role of the recon is to sort of provide an overlay of the battlefield, so through flares and stuff like that you can sort of spot enemies on the map for your team to engage. You can also harass enemies, so since you have access to snipers and other long range weaponry, you can sort of either kill or damage enemies at a distance. Once again, just make them have to go back and get health and stuff like that, and to keep them sort of out of the battle. Next up, the sort of specific sort of vehicle classes that you get. So I know in previous battlefields, when you'd get into a vehicle, you'd sort of go in as to say, like, you'd gone into a vehicle as a medic, then you'd sort of be the medic in the vehicle. However, in this game, if you spawn into a vehicle sort of as the primary role, so as a pilot, you spawn in the plane and you're driving. As a tanker, same thing, spawning into tank and driving it. You get sort of specific classes, so you know, pilots and tankers, specific classes. You get a few things at your arsenal, whether it be repair tools or and just other things as those classes, you know. But it's just sort of like, you know, it's sort of specific to those vehicles, and they are fun to use if you need to get out of the tank or out of the plane. But most of the time you end up going down with both of them, so you know, they're more focused sort of around those sort of vehicles. And also cavalry, get on the horse, you know, you get access to a sort of cavalryman, and you can once again use that whilst dismounted as well, which is good fun. And finally, there's sort of elite pickups around the map. You can't spawn as these, you can pick them up. Plenty of sort of videos and guides on where to pick those up. There's sort of a bit sort of powerful classes that can turn the tide of the battle. Have quite a lot of health but can be taken down. So once again, you need to make sure you get stocked up with health from your teammates. Just quickly, I want to talk about sort of specializations and how to get them. These are pretty much like perks that can help your sort of certain class and play style, and it can sort of help you become sort of more effective on the battlefield, and depending on how you want to kind of play it. So within sort of your sort of customized loadout, you can get these sort of specializations, like I said, that can sort of help you out. Some are sort of class specific, you know, like for the medic you can get one that can sort of, when reviving a teammate, both yourself and the person you revive get a speed boost for a few seconds, so you know, you can get out if they're out in the open and stuff like that, and get into cover. So to get these, you go to sort of the service assignment, and then so if you're new to the game, you'd have to complete, say, 3 of these, and then with that you would unlock this section here. But what I'd recommend, when you get the chance, is to sort of do all of these, just because, like, as you can see, for pretty much 4 of them, you get 50,000 XP, and then the recon's 30,000. So that's 230,000 XP. These are really simple challenges. You obviously can't see them here because I've completed them, but they're really simple, and it just kind of gets you used to playing the class as well. It can sort of help you get a better understanding of how to play it. Some of the challenges, I mean, you know, like on the support, you got like repairing vehicles, medics like revives health, you know, supports giving out ammo, stuff like that. Yeah, it can just really help you sort of get an idea of the class. But once you unlock 3 of these, you get sort of this sort of opens up. Then you can sort of go and unlock all of these. Now you can track them. So like, say if like certain ones are like kill X amount of enemies within a round, you know, you have that track, so you haven't got to like keep count of it, and you're not second guessing yourself. But you can sort of earn all of these without having them tracked. So, you know, say I've got like this challenge here, it's tracked in game, just so I can like look in the menu and be like, okay, that's how far I've progressed into it. But at the same time, I could be working towards, say, this one or this one, you know. So it's not like you can only do one at a time within a game. It's sort of things overlap and stuff like that within the same sort of areas, of sort of similar to one another. You can sort of work to them at the same time, which is really good. But that's how you get the perks. Take a look at them. Definitely sort of recommend speccing into them, you know, sort of looking into how you play the game, kind of how you want to play each class, because they can really sort of help you out and just give you an extra benefit from unlocking them. And like it says here, you haven't got to do all the challenges, you just got to do 5 out of the 6. So if there's one that's really difficult, you know, just choose the sort of 5 easier ones, and yeah, you're good to go. But that's kind of specializations. Take a look at them. There's plenty of sort of other guides out there, and sort of posts and stuff online as well, so just have a look at them as well. But this is just letting you know that this thing is out there, and it can really help you sort of on the battlefield. Like the previous part, I'm going to keep this brief as well, but within Battlefield you get access to many different types of vehicles. First up is the tanks. Light tank primarily engage sort of infantry and sort of lighter vehicles such as cars, motorbikes, but you can also engage heavy vehicles, but you just got to use your speed to sort of get behind them so they can't hit you. Next up is the heavy vehicle, equipped more for infantry play, with its quite a few machine guns on the side. 6 people can get in there and sort of provide sort of surrounding fire with it, but the driver does also get access to a sort of heavy hitting gun, which can be used to engage other vehicles with, as well as a machine gun. Next up, the land ship. So this is like your heavy hitting tank, quite slow, but access to both the sort of side gunners and the driver get access to heavy hitting weaponry that can be used to take out tanks primarily, but also infantry at the same time. and it is quite effective. If you can get sort of a squad in there, you can do some real damage with it. And finally is the artillery truck, primarily anti-infantry, but with the speed as well. You can use it to sort of flank the enemy, get behind them and do damage to their vehicles as well, and also sort of provide reconnaissance to your team as well. Next up in the vehicles is the planes. So there's bombers, fighters and attack planes. Bombers, a bit like the tanks, heavy hitting, quite slow moving, and do get harassed quite a bit by ground fire, but provide a heavy punch to them. Fighters, primarily sort of air-to-air combat, keep sort of protecting the bombers, keeping other fighters off their bombers, and sort of providing a bit of ground support. But that's what the attack plane is for. So the attack plane is a mix of both bombers and fighters, so you can provide sort of support to the infantry, but also use it to attack fighters as well. Once again, plenty of guys on that on the sort of internet if you want to get into flying and stuff like that. There's quite a few good guys out there. So sort of the transports on the battlefield, there's horses, motorboats, cars and boats. All these can be used to get around the battlefield. There's plenty of points around the maps where they spawn, but primarily in your sort of team's base is where you can get access to them. But these can be used to get around the map and also allow sort of teammates to spawn on them. Same with the tanks, sort of the bigger tanks allow teammates to spawn on them and sort of use it as a spawn point to keep both squad mates and teammates towards the front lines and attacking the objectives. And finally, you can get access to behemoths. These only come around when your team is kind of getting sort of stomped on, but they are real sort of game-changing vehicles that have a lot of health and require the team to sort of focus on them and sort of take them out, because they can cause a lot of damage in small areas on the battlefield. So keep an eye out for those and try and avoid them, but also try and take them down if you're sort of the assault class or the support class. So to round out this video, I'll just quickly talk over kind of the game modes to play first before progressing into kind of the staple game modes of the Battlefield franchise. So starting off, I recommend Team Deathmatch. It's like any kind of standard game mode in any kind of first-person shooter. Kill the most enemies, get to the score limit and win the game. There's no vehicles or anything like that, and the maps are smaller versions of the Conquest maps, so you can kind of get a good feel of how the game plays, get a good feel of how the weapons work, how everything kind of works, and how to kind of play those classes individually. It gives you kind of a good idea of how everything kind of works. Once you kind of get a feel comfortable with that, you can progress on to Conquest then, which is kind of the main staple game mode of the Battlefield franchise. It's real sort of open maps, vehicles come into play, and there's flags and stuff to capture in quite a few different ways to get about the map and kind of just explore and have fun with it. Just going into the tips, you will die a lot. I remember the first time I jumped in Battlefield like 10 years ago now, 10, 11 years ago. Pretty much getting shot from every angle, didn't have a clue where anybody was, buildings, everything. It does get frustrating, but I'm going to give you a few tips to kind of help reduce it and kind of get be able to kind of enjoy the game more, kind of get a good experience with it. So using the mini-map is a real big tool, and it helps a load. So being able to kind of read where your teammates are and where like any spotted enemies are, it just gives you a good kind of being able to situational awareness, really, to be able to see kind of what's going on the map. I don't see many people utilising it, but it is like one of the best things you can use. I use it all the time over like the small mini map, where you can open it up with the correct. I know on the PC, if you tap M, it opens it up, and I believe it might be down on the D-pad, or it might be the select button on console opens it up. But just double check the settings for that. Also on the mini map, your teammates / squads mates get marked, so when they die, a skull and crossbones appears, and that way then you can kind of tell that somebody's died around you and be on the lookout for enemies as well. So using the map as well, once again, you can see, like I mentioned, you can use it to see where enemies could flank you from. So if you see all your teams kind of on the right hand side of the map, and the left side is kind of sparsely populated with your teammates, or there's very little teammates over that way, then more often than not, some enemies might be flanking around that left hand flank. So just keep an eye out over there, and you'll be able to get a few kills that way, and you won't be getting shot in the back or the sides as much. Once again, check for mark enemies. They appear as sort of a red diamond on the map when selected. So whatever the spot button is on PC, it's Q. I'm not too sure what it is on console, but it'll be in the manuals, and there are like console guides out there for you to look at. You can mark enemies with those buttons and help your team out, and it also helps you out as well. If I see an enemy sort of running towards me, I always give them a mark, just so that then if they go behind cover and stuff, I can kind of see where they are. A real big one is footsteps, especially if you can get yourself a real cheap pair of headphones, even like some £5 ones off Amazon. Really useful to be able to hear where enemies are coming from, since sort of enemy footsteps are louder. You can always down sort of narrow sections of the map, or just like claustrophobic parts of the map, or just in general, you can hear enemies running around you. You can kind of get the awareness of where they might be coming from. If you can hear them coming behind you, then you know there's enemies running behind you, left, right. You know, you can kind of get a feel where they're coming from. This is a real big tip, and I still use it to this day. So your teammate will never cover you. So if you're next to your teammate and you see them kind of looking over in a certain direction, looking out for enemies, never trust that they'll cover you back unless you're talking to them. I've done it too many times where I've believed my teammate's going to cover me. Next thing I know, the teammates ran off and I've got shot from that side where I thought he was looking at. So, you know, always just double check, you know, over that way to see what that teammate's doing. Because more often than not, they always sometimes run off and stuff like that. And a final one is kind of stick with your squad and your team. So as you get more comfortable with the game, you'll be able to kind of go off on your own, and maybe do like solo flanks and stuff like that. And as you get more comfortable with how the weapons feel, starting off though, easier to stick with your squad, so you don't get kind of picked off by the enemy zergs that run around the map. Best advice. However, things can turn into like a meat grinder. So if you see a team and squad, sometimes I find that they get quite tunnel vision. So if they keep running into the same spot over and over again, and you find yourself just running in, getting one kill, and then getting killed, respawning, running back in, getting one kill, getting killed, just back off, look at the map, and see where potential flank routes might be. That way then you can kind of avoid getting into that meat grinder where you just find yourself constantly getting mowed down by people and hardly getting like a chance to move about. Just back off and see if there's potential flank routes that you can take to flank around the enemy, and either coming from behind or coming from the side. But that does it for this video today. If it helped you out, drop a like, leave your comment down below for if you have any other tips as well to help the new players out. And yeah, welcome to Battlefield. If you enjoyed the video, also drop a like, drop a subscribe so I can see more content like this, covering plenty of Battlefield games, especially 2042 when that's released. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one.